56 health facilities that we work with. So in our organization, we have all base health facilities that were by churches, from Catholic churches, from Anglican churches, from Protestant churches, and other missions. So in that area, about private health facilities from churches, we are just one umbrella that lead or coordinate activities with health ministries in this area of Meros, Africa. And we want to learn more from you, and we want to work with you. So we are open to receive from you what information that we need to grow up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Emmanuel. And as mentioned earlier, we are happy that you have joined the network as far as Meros Africa is concerned, and we are very excited to have you be part of the family. I think for those that, of course, may also have an interest, and especially with like what is before the screen here, as far as what the organization is doing, and if for some reason, or if there's a way you think that this is something that your respective organizations also can in a way align with, that's the whole purpose of our network. Our network, at the end of it all, is his connection to let other organizations know if there's a possibility of collaboration. And so there's always a value when we have new members, and also looking at the aspect of health and ministry in that sense. And so if this aligns with any of our members, this can be an opportunity. Please let us know, and that is why Meros Africa is here to connect, to create connections, so that we can find a way of collaborating, and so that we are able to, serve our communities in the different areas we know, as far as the health is concerned, and so on and so forth. And so once again, welcome, and we will definitely be engaging. And if any organizations reach out to us, we definitely will link them up to you. So please, we are very happy and very blessed to have you be part of the network. Okay, we will proceed. And again, thank you again for making time. I know I keep talking about that, but it's always exciting to see such a good number of people and for us to share. So this particular time, we will transition, and I will invite Jennifer, Dr. Hartsfield, to give us some updates in terms of what's been going on, and just to see what is happening, and just in case we could have missed out some information. I think that's the idea. So Jennifer, over to you. I will go to the following slide. I hope you can hear me, and I hope people can hear you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mofat. I hope you can hear me. I have switched to a different network to see if that will help. I'm going to go quickly through. Mentioned the these are things that have already want to make sure we highlight them in case you've missed them, or you didn't hear about them, or if you need more information. So last month we mentioned we were working on finishing 2 practice notes, and they are now officially finished and posted. One is looking at substance use among Christian university students, some good lessons learned from Uganda Christian University. And then the other one is a 2026 Ebola faith leader response. And just good information, if you're in DRC or Uganda, you've probably already thought about these things and working closely with health facilities. But if you are not in one of those areas but at risk, and there's 10 different countries that surround those, then it would be a good thing for you to read through just so that you're prepared and can answer any questions. All right. The next one is just to mention some friendship ministry training. This is a mental health project that we'll be doing in Malawi and also in Zambia. This is an example of the kind of workshop that we sometimes have the opportunity to support, and so we're excited about it. It developed from last year's initiative where we were looking at how could congregations help provide mental health counseling for their members, but also within the community. So we'll be doing some training over the coming weeks and look forward to hosting that. And then I think the final one to mention is another set of training opportunities. And also, they have quite a few resources through the international Christian medical and dental community. And you can see their website there and what they offer. If you are a medical or dental professional, they have quite a bit of free training that's available and maybe worth pursuing. Things in terms of bioethics, leadership, global health, how to share your faith in a clinical setting. So really some nice resources there. And then there's also other ones that can be downloaded directly. So another great resource. There was a photo that was shared in the WhatsApp community, but if you wanted more information, you can go to their website or you can reach out to Mofat or myself to get that. And then the last thing just to highlight is our WhatsApp community. Information if as you come across it, whether that's resources or maybe grant funding, or if there's anything important you think would be helpful to share with the team. If you're not a part of that community, reach out to Mofat or to William, and either one will be able to get you added to that. So those are the big highlights of the month. And Dr. Sade, we look forward to hearing from you. And thanks, Mofat, for leading.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. That was indeed informative. So we could still go back in case we missed anything, and and reach out to myself or William as mentioned, and we'll be able to just bring you up to date or up to speed. So much appreciated. And so at this point, we've gotten to the stage where now we get into our main presentation, and we are delighted to have Dr. Shade, as usual, to take us yet through a very important but very useful presentation that obviously would come in hand one or the other as we implement. So, Doc, I will invite you to stop sharing just so that you can also share the wonderful presentation that you've prepared. So thank you so much, and over to you. I will stop sharing mine at this point. Thank you.
Wow, excellent job, Mofat.
Thank you.
Thank you for leading so nicely. I'll share my screen. I'd like you to let me know when you can see it and if it's showing in presenter mode or as a slideshow.
Okay. At least from my end, see it, but it needs to get into the presentation. Okay, there you go. At least I can confirm on my end.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Is it still showing well?
Maybe you can confirm, please.
You
Yes, we
can
can
see
see,
it
we can see.
fine?
Thank you.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. In case we haven't been in a meeting together, my name is Shade Kolade. I'm so excited that you are here today. I'd like to make this interactive. So if you do come across questions that you would like me to speak to, you can start to leave them in the comment section in case we don't have a lot of time at the end to take questions, but I will try and flip through this quickly so that we can discuss more of what you are actually doing. I'm the Meros Africa Fellow, in case you haven't met me. I believe that I've interacted with quite a few of us because we've been meeting in some of these webinars. Thank you again for joining. We want to look basically today at the fundamentals of project management. That said, I know that a lot of us are already doing most of these things. So because we have a mixed group, the conversation will be general. I that as we go along, you will identify something in a are doing or a project you have done, and you'll be able to raise conversations to bring it closer home to what you're actually doing. So a lot of times we find that we struggle in putting together or facilitating projects, not because the ideas or the visions are not clear or good, but we struggle with turning that vision into action because there are typically many steps required to actually take a vision to the finish line so that it can begin to impact the people for whom you desire to execute that project. My sincere desire is that at the end of this talk today, you will have the basic tools you need to organize your next project in a very simple framework. The vision is there, the idea is there. Sometimes the volunteers are there, but then we still struggle to actualize these visions. I want to try and simplify what the definition is of a project here. When I'm talking about a project, it is not the daily activities you do in your organization. It is a temporary effort to achieve a specific goal. So a project will be something that is targeting a specific deliverable, something you want to see at the end of a specific time. The formula here for when you're planning a project is have a goal, have a start, and have a finish line. So project is a goal with a definite start point and a very clear finishing line. So an example would be like you want to build a borehole. You want to organize a vaccination campaign. You want to train nursing volunteers. Something very specific. Okay. Just be aware that I'm going to be looking at the chat. If you do have questions, I would like it to be interactive. So I have a quick story I want to tell you about Dr. Pastor Emmanuel. Pastor Emmanuel is a pastor in a rural community in Africa, and he leads this community where for 3 years they really desired to have a borehole. And as children of God, they started to pray about it. They started to believe one day we'll be able to get a borehole for the members of our church. God answered their prayers, and in January last year, a donor actually went to their assembly and gave them money specifically for that borehole which they had been praying for. Now, this was real money, real opportunity. Pastor Emmanuel announced it from the pulpit God had provided, and the congregation was excited. But by the end of March, nothing had started. The money was still in the account. Nobody's doing anything wrong with it. But the people who should be benefiting from that borehole are not getting the benefit. even though the finances had been provided and the prayers had been answered. And so when people started to ask questions, Pastor Emmanuel called a meeting together. 8 volunteers showed up. Everybody had a different opinion about where it should be located, when it should start, how large it should be, what are the equipments we need. The meeting ended, no decisions made. By the end of June, dry season had started, and now the drilling company they were thinking of using was now fully booked till the end of the year. 2 of the volunteers who were really willing to help and who would have moved things forward have now moved on to other things and actually left the community. By December, the donor is calling to ask for a progress report. Of course, there's nothing to give. The money is still there. The need is still there. The vision is still there, but there was no borehole. I'd just like to get from your perspective, just something in the chat. What do you think went wrong and what could Pastor Emmanuel have done? What were some simple things to your mind that Pastor Emmanuel could have done to make sure that this was actually going to happen? I'd like to hear from a few of us. What do you think Pastor Emmanuel could have done, or the church assembly? What would have helped? Engage the community. Absolutely. Made a plan. Yes. Schedule activities and assign tasks. See, I knew I was speaking with professional project managers. You absolutely. So we all know that this is exactly what we should be doing. Have clear deadlines. Have people responsible for specific things. Have steps written down. Have regular checkups. Exciting. So yes, that's all we're going to be discussing today. These are things that we're already doing. We not want just to do it with intentionality, and we want to be able to do it in a way that is you'll be able to share it with your team and get ownership so that everybody is on the same page. Yes, community inclusion, absolutely. And when you have everybody on the same page, when you have everybody having the same level of information as much as needed for what they're supposed to deliver, you find that things will move easier and faster. So I've broken this down to 5 basic steps. And very simple framework if you look at it this way. The first thing you need to do is initiate the project. Why would you need to initiate a project? That initial decision to have a project mostly will be based on why the project is important. Typically, and in many things as well that we do in life, when you have a definite why and a specific goal, you will be able to stand even when things get difficult. So when you initiate the project, it's very, very important for you to decide what are we trying to achieve and why is it important. Then to the crucial stage of planning, which is what a lot of us have pointed out in this discussion. The next step would be to execute. Then we need to monitor. This is another stage where we drop the ball, because once we commit an assignment to a specific group of people, we tend to not check on them because we trust them, right? That they're going to do the right thing. But sometimes just a short check-in can make all the difference. And another area where I feel like we don't pay a lot of attention is the close. After we've executed a project successfully, it's very important for us to finish the project, to celebrate the finish line, like recognize that this project has finished, and then hand it over to the people who will maintain the project. More than that, we need to take lessons learned so that the next project will be better. Now we've learned some new things, we can do better. When we know better, we do better. So, 5 questions every project must answer. We've seen the 5 steps of the projects, but these are things that I find 5 questions that are very critical. And if you don't need anything fancy, if you just have a piece of paper that clearly lists out all these 5 answers, your project is likely to succeed. Okay? The first question your project must answer is why. As shown in the steps previously, you need a purpose. Why are you doing this? Why is it important? Who's going to benefit from it? Why is this something that you need to do? Now, what will you achieve? The reason you need to define a what is if you don't know what completion means, even when it happens, you won't recognize it. Because if you don't know where you're going, you won't even know that you've arrived when you get there. Who? This can be on 2 sides. Who in terms of the team who will do the work and the team who will assess that the job is finished, that the beneficiaries of the work. So who will do the work? Who will benefit from the work? How? This is the step-by-step plan that most of us have mentioned. What are the steps? What needs to be done for another thing to happen? And when? So we need a clear timeline. By when do we need these things to be done? So why, what, who, how, and when, it is very, very, it has a very great chance to succeed. So when we're talking about the why, we just want to elaborate a little bit more on those 5 questions. What problem are we solving? Who will benefit from the project? Why now? And the example here is, if you notice that the children in your community are malnourished, that's a very important reason. That's a very solid purpose and a why to put up a project. So you decide to launch a 3-month nutrition project. Notice that the timeline is very definite. Now you're trying to reach 20 mothers with practical feeding education. So why are you doing it? Be very clear on and specifically how and how many. If you are that clear, then the chances of your planning succeeding is very high. So a clear why, it will keep your team motivated when things get hard. It will help you say no to scope creep. Scope creep being when things start going out of the outline of what you really want to do. Now, we're trying to address child malnutrition, and then at one of your check-ins, one person introduces, oh, by the way, we can also start to introduce vaccination. Having a clear why will let you know, okay, vaccination is great. Next project, But right now, we need to focus all our resources, all our planning toward achieving this specific goal. We're going to keep moving so that, I mean, for the sake of time, in the chat as well. Number 2 is what? Set your goal. Make sure the goal is very clear. How is it going to be clear? It has to be specific. Enough to just say, we want to train our people. Have a specific number and health volunteers, not just people, right? Because is it pastors you want to train? Is it health workers? Is it children ministers? Be very specific. It needs to be measurable. Make sure you can count, or still leaning toward the idea of making sure you know when success has been achieved. Make sure it's achievable, make it realistic, because yeah, don't be planning to do how is it that one of my colleagues put it? Don't be planning to do a Rolls-Royce project and you have maybe the budget of a very lesser car so that the manufacturers don't or someone using that car doesn't feel like it's a problem. It's a car, it's servicing it's fulfilling your need, but don't plan a project that you cannot afford, or don't plan a project that is not realistic in your location. It could be money, it could be even your ability to get raw material to a particular location, something that basically people make sure that it's achievable and realistic within your resources. Time bound. We need a specific date by which it will be done. Now, 3 roles every project needs. 1, you need the project leader, someone who owns the project, someone who ultimately the buck stops at their table. So that person will be responsible for keeping everyone else on track and making decisions. Then you need team members who you're going to assign specific tasks. Make sure everyone knows exactly what they must do. And then you have the supporters and the made an illustration. When you're building the house, the wife does not like, then your project is not likely to succeed for your win. So the very best way to keep your project on track, like we mentioned that you should have milestones. 15-minute weekly check-in is better than 2-hour check-in after 3 months. Just a very short 3-question check-in. What did we accomplish? Where are we stuck? What is the next step? And be very clear that 1, are we on track? Are we at risk? Are we behind? That way you know what the next steps to do to correct that. And at your next check-in, you make sure that things are on track. In between there, you work out whatever the issues are that are not letting you hit the milestones. 3 major mistakes that kill projects: lack of clear goals. If a responsibility is for everyone, oh yeah, we'll do it. It's for no one. You have to assign specific tasks to specific people. One person's name assigned to it. Even if there's a team, there has to be someone in charge, because finally it has to be on someone's desk to respond. And when you don't have regular check-ins, it's easy for problems to grow quietly. This is what typically I would say that you need to have as a one-page project planner. You don't need any fancy equipment. You don't even need a computer. You need a page that has your why, your how, your what, your when, and your who. So if you make sure that those sections have exactly the problem you're solving, the key steps that will help you achieve every step of it, specific goals, time bound, when, meaning start, milestones, and end, and who. If you have this all written down and shared with your team so that everybody is on the same page, it will be a very good way to ensure that your project is likely to succeed. So here's like a summary of everything we've discussed today. Every project needs to start with a clear why. When you set your goals, make sure it is smart. It's specific, it's measurable, and it's time bound. Assign one person to every task because clarity will prevent failure. Your simple action table is your project plan. Those 5 questions in detail. And then make sure that you're doing a 15-minute. It might not be weekly depending on the project, right? For some people, it's monthly. If you're doing like a 3-year project, you might start with a more frequent check-in space. And over time, you might find, okay, we can check in once a month and it's okay. But if you have a 1-month project, you probably want to check in every week. So I will send this as a downloadable document. Jennifer or Moffat will get this across to us as a one-page project plan that you can maybe stick on a wall somewhere and take a look at when you are designing your next project. But as much as possible, I don't want us to get worried about, oh, it's complicated or it looks, it looks very fancy. If you have that other one-pager that we talked about with those 5 questions answered, everything in here will be addressed. But then this just helps you. One section shows you how to define your vision. The second section shows how to map the execution. Okay, so you will get a copy of this sent out. Finally, before I, see if we have other questions or we want to round up, project management is stewardship in action. All of us here are believers in Christ. If we treat the project as a vision or an assignment that God has given to us, and we know that He expects stewardship from us, when He has entrusted us with something, not just with dream, but with the responsibility to steward that dream into reality. We would treat it like an assignment from God and know and remember that He requires faithfulness. What does faithfulness mean as children of God? It's not about perfection. It's not about not making a mistake or having it or just being superhuman. It is about just serving the people well and turning the vision that will help the people into reality. We all already have what it takes. We have all already been doing projects. And I pray that this discussion today just adds some level of, encouragement or certainty or clarity to the pool of knowledge and wisdom we already have. And that as we go on, we will do this faithfully, knowing fully well that it is required of us as stewards to be faithful. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I will take questions if we still have any, if we still have the time. Moffat?
Yeah, thank you so much. Before I officially, yes, thank you. But yeah, in case there are people who have questions, we can take one or two. We still have a few more minutes.
Excellent. So I see
Okay.
one. Are you reading them for me, or do you want me to take the ones I can see?
I can see one from, I think this is from Pastor. Will the professor share the presentation? I think we said yes. I think I also saw something from Jennifer saying that this will be sent. So we'll make sure that we put Shade to task and share it with us so that we can share it with the bigger group. Yes, so most definitely. Maybe Jennifer or William, in case I could have missed out anything in the chat.
I'm seeing something here. Kingsley, I think, says, how can someone come up with targets within the goals? That is an excellent question, and I'm so glad it came up. So the way to establish your targets with precision is to know what your end game is. Okay, if you have a clear definition of what success looks like to you, you walk backwards. Okay, so you go to that finishing line and then ask yourself, what must happen just for this to happen? You get what I'm saying? So you establish that target and then you ask yourself, so before this other one happens, what needs to happen? As an example, when we were talking about the malnutrition um, malnutrition project, we want to train 200 mothers by the end of the project. What needs to happen for us to be able to train 200 mothers? We need a training, right? What needs to happen for us to have a training? We need to develop a curriculum, right? What needs to happen for us to develop a curriculum? We need someone with the knowledge. So we need to get a nutritionist or a consultant or a pediatrician who can do the training. You see where I'm going? So you walk backwards depending on what your specific project is. That I find is a way that has helped when I'm designing my targets, points, and key milestones. Does that help? I'm willing to expand if not.
Thank you, Shade. Yes, he has confirmed that it helps very much. So thank you. We can squeeze in one last one. We're almost at time. Francis, I've seen
Yeah.
the hand is up.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Shade and Moffat is the chair. It is a very nice presentation. I just want to kind of share some issues, but also ask where do we fit into this presentation. There is the issue of the fear of change, which I think every project has a purpose, as you say, has goals. But in the conventional projects design, I think there is a fear of change behind, which you are saying why you are implementing this project. But we are also saying what would happen or what should happen to realize the intended outcomes. So where would you consider to put the fear of change in this presentation? But two, the aspect of you use this word tracking, but the conventional literature talks of monitoring. So how would you consider and put in this case? Because we would want to see what we are implementing, that it brings some results, because it is a results-based project management. So as I said, I just wanted to share these concepts and see where would this fit into your context. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Fear of change is a thing. It is huge, um, all over the world, but more so in African context, right? Where we um, stigmatize, or we have, there's a word that is not coming now. There's a word that's not coming, but we read meanings into everything, and it has, so everything is spiritualized and is usually not in a good way. That said, the important thing to do as the leader is community involvement. You have to draw the people in and help them to understand the benefit of that project. If you can convince them that it is for their good, then people are likely to cooperate with you. Now, how you do that will depend on, one, what is the project, and two, specifically who the people you are dealing with are. And sometimes that means you don't go straight to the main community. You might need to find the people they trust, win those people over, and then those will help you, talk to the community. You have to get community buy-in when you're doing a project where people might resist, or where there are some hesitations due to certain beliefs. So that, I mean, I can talk further on that later if you would like us to expand. The second issue you raised is monitoring. The best way to monitor and to make sure that that is effective is to have key milestones. So if you were the leader, or you were leading or overseeing a borehole project, you want to know, oh, by week 4, we should have identified the location. Now, that is a monitoring point. By week 8, the surveyor should have given us the report of the layout. Okay, so you see what we're monitoring, key milestones. By week 14, there should have been some drilling taking place, and then based on what you have discussed with the contractor, you know certain things to look for by so amount of weeks, and we are expecting that the project will have ended by so other number of weeks. That said, it's good to have a little bit of buffer, especially with time and budget, because we know that things are not stagnant. I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for those questions that have come forth. I've also noticed a few comments or questions, but we will go back to them from here, and if it is okay, we can still forward them to Shadi, and then maybe get some responses that we can find a way of sharing, even maybe even on the WhatsApp group, or if they're enough, then we can still send them via email. So we've taken note. We just wanted to be respectful of people's time, and also let me just take the opportunity, Shadi, to say thank you so much. Very insightful. I think it, as much as we are into, implementation of projects, it's actually really good to go back to revisit some of these steps, because they are quite easy to forget, and that can affect on how our implementation or end goal will be. So it's always important to revisit some of these things, and in case there might be other things that come up. So much appreciated for that presentation. It's always a blessing to have you and to share some of this information. And so, at this particular time, just a few reminders that, like it's always been mentioned, we will be having these monthly webinars. So we'll have our August one on August 5th. And as we always communicate, we will be sharing those specific dates, what the topic will be, and the link to the webinar itself. So it's hope and our prayer that we will convene in the same manner, God willing, next month with yet another exciting presentation from, the network itself. And so, yeah, I just want to say thank you to everybody who took time to join us today. We will keep our WhatsApp group alive in terms of any information that may come up, but also through emails. So my appeal as a network is, yeah, let's keep talking. Let's keep networking, but also let's put prayer first as we implement, go about our activities. And so until then, I want to wish each and everyone a fruitful afternoon, but also God's blessings. Farewell, and then we will definitely be communicating. Thank you so much.
Thank you.